Hey Ashland kids, Hudson and I are running out here in Norwood for a bite to eat for lunch, and while we do, I wanted to welcome you to our video today. And before we go any farther, let's stop and let's sing a song or two and worship God through music, okay? And then we'll be right back.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me.
Hey, welcome back. I got a question for you while we're driving around. Have you ever had to go on vacation or maybe just a long road trip? And the first couple hours they go pretty good. Maybe you find yourself in a seat back, like in the back of our car, and you have a brother or sister around you, and it seems like you can entertain yourself for a while, right? You have movies and you have an iPad, you have video games, maybe you play the license plate game or something like that, and time goes by for a little bit. But then it seems like the drive's never going to get over, right? And what happens? You start asking mom and dad, are we there yet? Are we almost there? I'm hungry. I gotta stop. I want to stretch my legs. And all of this takes place, and the drive just seems to get long. What happens when that drive gets really long? I mean, what do you do? Do you always get along with your brother and sister when things seem to never end in the car? Are you totally respectful, or do you do that, she is touching me, he is hitting me, he took my snacks, and all of that? That's what I want to talk to you about today, is what do you do when life is a little bit rough? How do you respond to people? Are you always real nice, especially in those long car rides? Are you always respectful to the other people in the car? Let's talk about that a little bit more. Well, if you could relate to any of that, which we already talked about in the car, then you're also going to know sometimes in those long trips, and hopefully it doesn't happen very often for you, when things get really out of control and really disrespectful, maybe mom and dad have to kind of pull that car over and handle the situation as they see appropriate. Well, what I'd like to do is show you in Exodus chapter 17, kind of a similar situation happened. The nation of Israel are on a long road trip, if you will. They're leaving Egyptian captivity. They're traveling all the way to this promised land that God had promised them. And I want you to see what happens in Exodus chapter 17. As that trip becomes long and they become tired and they find themselves out in the middle of a desert, here's what the Bible says. Exodus chapter 17, verse 1. Then all the congregation of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the commandment of the Lord, and they camped in Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. Now, there's not much worse when you're stuck out in a desert and you're walking a lot to become thirsty and then look around and guess what? There's no water. There's nothing to drink. Now, think about this. When you're stuck in the desert and you have nothing to drink, obviously you're going to become irritable. You'll be a little bit grumpy. Maybe you'll get snippy with a family member or somebody else is traveling with you. But maybe as well you get a little bit scared because listen, when you're stuck in the desert with nothing to drink, there is a good chance that maybe you die because of a lack of something to drink. So, of course, who do they go after? Once they realize we have nothing to drink, they come right after Moses. And in verse number 2, it says, the people contended with Moses, saying, give us water so that we might drink. And Moses said to them, why do you contend with me? Why do you tempt the Lord? And the people thirsted for water, and they complained against Moses and said, why is it that you've brought us out of Egypt just to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? And so Moses cried aloud unto the Lord, saying, what shall I do with this people? They're almost ready to stone me. I mean, these people were beyond just upset and thirsty now. They're ready to kill Moses because at least when they were in Egyptian control, they had food on the table and they had water in their cups. But now they've been brought out underneath the leadership of Moses, and they have none of that. And so Moses then begins to plead to God, trying to figure out what he is to do, because now his life is on the line, and really everybody's lives are on the line, but for different reasons. And the Lord said to Moses, Go on before the people and take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river, and go. The river that he used to split so that Israel could pass on dry land as they left Egypt. So, verse 6, behold, I'll stand before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water will come out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders. So he calls everybody together, and he does exactly as God instructed them to do, and he strikes the rock. Water comes out of the rock, providing plenty to drink for everybody that's involved. But I want you to stop and think about this idea of what do we do when things are a little bit rough, when we're tired, when we're a little grumpy. Maybe if you go back to that idea of being on a long car ride, how you can become just kind of short with the people around you, and they get on your nerves real fast. Because here's the truth. Sometimes we get a little grumpy, and when we do, our emotions take over, and it affects the way we respond to other people. Israel found themselves complaining all the time. We don't have anything to eat. We have nothing to drink. Are we almost there yet? Moses, what did you bring us out here to die? At least in Egypt, when we were slaves there, we had something to eat and something to drink. And so their emotions would take over, and they would complain. Let me ask you this. When you're tired, maybe you stayed up all night last night at a friend's house and then you came home. How do you treat mom and dad, or how do you treat your brothers and sisters? Lord willing, you'll go back to school here in just several weeks. When you go to school and you have a bad day, maybe somebody picks on you and your emotions are a little bit down, and you come home and mom asks you to go upstairs and clean your room. What's your immediate reaction? Are you going to be grumpy, or are you going to obey with respect? And so here's what I wanted to do. Remember the verse that Miss Kara has been teaching you over the past week or so. This will help us understand how to respond to people when things are going a little bit rough, or maybe we've had a bad day. Because listen, even when we've had a bad day, or even when we might be down, or even when we might feel a little bit grumpy, we still have to respond right to other people. How do we do that? James chapter 1 verse 19 is our memory verse, and it says this: So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. What does he say? Be quick to listen to other people. It's a lot harder to say something hurtful or grumpy or disrespectful when we're not saying anything at all, but we're listening fast. So let us be slow to speak, quick to hear, and slow to wrath. So here's our verse again. I want you to work on this. Maybe you need to pause it in just a second. We'll put the image back on the screen, and if you need help reading it, maybe mom or dad can come in and read through this verse with you, because again, this will help you so much in making sure that you respond to people correctly, even when you're irritable or grumpy or a little bit short. James chapter 1 verse 19. So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. And I hope that we can work on being like Jesus would have us to be in the way we react to other people, even if we're scared, even if we're tired, even if we're grumpy. Now listen, this Sunday we'll be back together at 10:30 in service. If you're able to join us this week with your families, remember when you head in, right up these stairs right here off to the left, you're going to see Moses there this week. That's who we've been studying in the book of Exodus. Right next to Moses are some snacks and some coloring book pages and some other activities that will hopefully help you be able to remain focused and be able to listen and be able to sing together. And all of that stuff is there because, listen, I'm excited to have you in service. I know it's weird. I know maybe you'd rather be downstairs where that Ashland Kids logo is pointing you down to the junior church room. So maybe it's not where you would like to be on a Sunday morning, but I am excited that you are still coming and that hopefully you are still learning. And I love having the kids in the auditorium on Sunday mornings. So we will look forward to seeing you this Sunday morning at 10:30. If you're not able to be in person, we'll still have it on live stream on Facebook, still at 10:30. And listen, from Kara and from myself, know this, that we missed you. We're excited about kids ministry starting up, hopefully very, very soon. But in the meantime, we love you, we miss you, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath this week.